to Zambia Decides, right on KBN TV from Zambia's capital city, Lusaka. This is a Friday edition of course, a paid-for program coming from the BM8 movement, the brand Mundubile, and of course, Makebi Zulu family. They do converge on every Friday, 20 to 30 hours, of course, highlighting various agendas, various party plans they have for the country should you vote for them come 2026. This year, with only less than 50 days or 40 days remaining, Zambia will be going to the polls, which you be deciding which political party leaders to vote for. Now, to begin with some other happenings in the country, we start from there. The Zambian government says it will not appeal against the ruling of the Supreme Court of Appeal of South Africa on the burial of former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha says although government disagrees with the judgment, it has decided not to take the matter to the Constitutional Court of South Africa. He says government will not exercise its right to appeal. Mr. Kabesha says in line with the judgment, the matter has now become a private issue for the Lungu family to proceed with their preferred burial arrangements in South Africa. He says the government's purpose over the past 12 months has been to honor the 60th Republican president in line with established precedents on how former heads of state have been treated. Mr. Kabesha says a clear set of national customs and culture has been established over time, and that this position was held in the utmost good faith. The Attorney General further says the nation will recall a number of precedents involving the burial of former presidents at Embassy Park. This is a story involving the 60th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, who died last year on the 5th of June 2025, and now the matter has been finally settled by the Court of Appeals Africa, which has ruled in favor of the Lungu family. Let's give a reflection in that regards. I know that the man I have in the studio in Dr. Honorable Sebastian Kopulande is a man who has worked in various portfolios in this country, dating way back from the MMD and, of course, the PF, and today is in the BM8 movement, aspiring to contribute on matters of governance. Let's have a reflection, because he also worked with the former president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, how he remembers Dr. Lungu and his reaction on this matter. Doc Kopulande, welcome and good evening to you.
Thank you very much, IP. It's wonderful to meet you on the screen today.
After a long time.
After a long time.
Do you remember the last time we had a chat, you and I, on air?
No. Was it on near at your last?
Exactly. We're talking about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, quickly, Doc, I know you're quite busy because of the campaigns that are ongoing right now. And,
yes.
I had to chance you that before you travel, can you please come on this platform so we can have a roundtable discussion. Your quick reflection about the legacy of late President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the impasse that, of course, ensued along the way. But all in all, the Supreme Court of Appeal in South Africa has settled the matter vis-a-vis the reaction coming from the government.
Thank you very much. To many citizens of the Republic of Zambia, Edgar Lungu was president of Zambia. That's what the population knew him for. To me, it was more than that. He was a personal friend. He was a colleague at the University of Zambia. When I was there, he was my senior by 2 years. But he and his colleagues admitted me in their network of friends, which included the likes of Donald Chanda, Ambassador Lazarus Kapambwe, late Bernard Chisanga, Ricardo, and many others who were in third year when I got into university in first year. But we became friends, and I became part of the network of friends, and this friendship continued.
Well, I didn't know about that.
No, no, that's he was in law school,
Right.
same class with one Winter Kavimba, Bishop Mwamba, Justin Chinyanta, Laura Harrison. Those are some of led Chitika Mwambazi. Those are some of the colleagues I remember who were in the same class in the School of Law at that time. Now, yes, the South African Supreme Court has made a ruling. For me, it is regrettable that the burial of a former president should be a matter to be decided upon by a court. Not only a court, but a foreign court, a court in a foreign land. Let this be a lesson to the people of Zambia, that when we choose leaders to get into power, we've got to look at really who they are, what they stand for, what their moral persuasion is. Because why I say that is that, you see, these are basic matters of culture, these are basic matters of values, these are basic matters of custom that have to be observed by anybody, regardless of office.
Right.
Even if you are a president, you are head of state. When you go before a traditional ruler, a chief, you kneel. It doesn't matter who you are. Okay? So these are basic principles of who we are as Africans, as Zambians. Now we got here into a protracted debate and legal battles about the burial of Edgar Lungu, who served diligently this country, and landmarks of his work can be seen. Landmarks of Edgar Lungu's work in this country can be seen. They are verifiable. That Edgar was in office for 7 years, this is what he built. Kazungula Bridge, Kashiwe Gorge, Lower Power Station, Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, Levi Mwanawasa Hospital, this Kalindawalo Hospital, in Petauke. There are so many that we cannot enumerate. Simon Mwansagapoepo International Airport in Ndola. Those are tangible, verifiable landmarks of Edgar Lungu's governance. The flyover bridges in Lusaka. This is a man who in life received no respect, no recognition from the sitting government. This is the government that refused him the opportunity to go and seek medical treatment abroad on several occasions. This is a government that stripped him of his entitlement, post-office entitlement, while he was alive. Today they want to give President Lungu a dignified burial and give him the honors of a former head of state. We remember very well President, then opposition president, Hakainde Hichilema, saying he does not recognize and he will never recognize Edgar Lungu as president of Zambia. You know that, isn't it? Today, he must honor him. After withdrawing all his post-retirement benefits, what honor are you giving him? You refuse to honor the living, you want to honor the dead? And you can go to the extent of going to court to stop the burial. Forget about his being former president. To stop the burial of a person who has died. Just a person. How do you stop the burial of a person who has died? What is your moral standing? What is your idea of life? Do you have any regard for the dead? No, we should not have come this far. In fact, to say no, we are not going to, they have no basis to appeal. None at all.
They have no basis.
They have no basis to appeal. The court in South Africa dealt with every single one of their arguments. Every single one of their arguments. They have no basis to appeal. No basis whatsoever. Okay? All their arguments in court were debunked by the Supreme Court of Appeal. You see, you can only appeal on a matter where you know there is a chance of success. In this case, there was no chance.
There was no chance
of success whatsoever. This case, I was listening to a lot of analysis by people in Kenya, by people in South Africa. There was no room to appeal. The Supreme Court of Justice did a thorough job by debunking every argument that the government put up.
I'll take you back, Doc. Yes, you've given a very interesting synopsis or background of Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the association he had with you, having come from almost the same university along other peers of yours at the time. But also at the time when President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was the president, you've also mentioned that the president now, President Hakainde Hichilema, he refused to recognize or to acknowledge that ECL was the president. That is on record. And the argument of President Hakainde Hichilema at the time was that there was no constitutional provision which could force anyone to recognize one as a president. And rightly so.
Yes.
There is no law in Zambia which can compel you or I and President HH to recognize me as a moderator or you as a guest on this program. That was right.
Yeah.
When you dig deeper, you realize that also HH equally, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was mistreated. Everything's on record. You can cite so many examples. You've mentioned about him having been blocked, from going to South Africa to go and seek medical treatment or specialized medical treatment, as it were, among other things. He was mistreated. Zambians are aware. He was stripped off of his benefits. Zambians are aware. But also, do you also remember that even ECL himself, at the time, he did mistreat President Hakainde Hichilema in the opposition. This is a man who was charged with so many, cases. This is a man who was blocked from campaigning, President HH in the opposition, by the late Edgar Chagwa Lungu's leadership. Also, this man was charged with a fake treason charge at the time. The Limulunga, treason allegations. All those things. Don't you think that also, in as much as maybe one would say HH was unfair to the former late president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, but also even he, the late, he did not handle HH very well. How do we combine the two?
No, he did not. He did not. But in passing judgment on the treatment, I think we always have to look at what's called proportionality. Did whatever transgressions that President Lungu may have made against HH sufficient for HH to pay him back by stopping him from being buried? Is that, look at the proportionality. Because who suffers in that process? Who has suffered in that process? Is it Edgar Lungu? No, Edgar Lungu is dead. So who has suffered? These are people who had nothing to do with the differences between the two. His wife, his children, his friends, they had nothing to do with the differences between the two. Now, you've talked about a fake
treason charge.
Treason charge. You don't understand.
Make me understand.
Yeah. You see, obstruction of a presidential motorcade is a non-negotiable issue. You get cleared. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. Edgar Lungu refused to give the command to clear the way. Okay? Now, if you recall an interview that Edgar Lungu had on BBC, what's that program called? What was that program called? He was told by the interviewer that what you did, anywhere in the world, you don't have come out alive. Okay? Now let me tell you, our special assistant to the president, special duties. No, it could have been worse.
Is that so?
Yes, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. What was wrong? What was so difficult with such a just stepping aside, giving way to the presidential motorcade to pass? It all bows down to what we earlier talked about, the refusal to recognize Edgar Lungu as president. So if I don't recognize him as president, why should I give him way to pass before me? Hence the chase. Was that necessary? Now tell me, if anyone today did what HH did to Edgar Lungu in Barroseland, if they did it to HH today, tell me, what would happen? Would that person be alive?
Will he?
Have you seen the amount of security surrounding the president today? No. So that one, you can call it fake, you can do that. But for me, I'm happy that HH is alive today. And God, the gracious God, has given him the opportunity to lead this country, to prove himself. I'll pass judgment on him later as we go on that point.
We are at a point where we've spent 1 year plus without burying the mortal remains of the former head of state. And when you listen to the government side, the argument and the statement I read earlier on, the Attorney General, he tells the country that the reason why we insisted, we went to pursue this matter even before the course of law, was basically to give a dignified burial to the former head of state in line with our customs and the culture as a country. The precedence is there. We've seen former heads of states where they've been buried and how they've been buried. That was the argument. There was nothing personal about it. They wanted Zambians to witness, Zambians to, pay homage to this gallant soldier who has left this country. But all in all, the court has ruled otherwise. What could be the way forward now at this juncture, in that the government says, will not appeal, let it go. It's a private matter now. It's a private discussion.
Yeah, like I said, there are no grounds of appeal. Okay, one. Two, I don't buy the story that they wanted to do that in order to honor the president.
Public interest.
Was it in the public interest for them to go to the mortuary in South Africa, take the body and perform a post-mortem without the consent of the family and any witness from the family? Was that in public interest? So all these public interest camouflage arguments do not convince enlightened citizens who will read and see beyond the facade. You see, when you are leading people, the first assumption you should make is that the people I am leading are both knowledgeable and intelligent enough to understand. That is the first assumption you must work on.
Yeah.
You must work on that assumption. Now, when you communicate to people, when you are in authority and acting as though the people you are dealing with have no iota of knowledge to see through your arguments, then you are making a mistake, because they'll see through you and they will pass their judgment, which may be against you. So respect for the citizenry is the most important thing when you are in positions of leadership. I have seen presidents. I have had discussions with presidents on a number of issues that may arise at any one point. You see, the way our friends today respond to situations, I laugh and cry at the same time. I get this sense of mixed emotions, and when they explain things, it's like they're explaining to little children. Okay. No. If you wanted to respect Edgar Lungu, if you cared so much about Edgar Lungu, one, you should not have stripped off his presidential entitlement. Two, you should have allowed him to go and seek medical attention at the time he said he needed it. And if you recall, in the judgment it was quoted, the doctor's report said if he had come earlier to South Africa for medical attention, they would have helped the situation, which means he would not have died. But by the time he was going, and remember, he went out of the country to seek medical attention by sneaking out of the country. He sneaked out of the country. He did not go through the normal VIP channels to which he was entitled. He sneaked out of the country.
Quickly, I want us to wind up on this subject altogether, because I want also to look at the side of the family. In as much as, of course, there were issues that they had, around the burial of their breadwinner in Edgar Chagwa Lungu, but also one would say they took things personal in that when one is dead. I mean, let's come back to our cultural norms. They say when an elephant or when one dies, sometimes we have to bury our differences. We can quarrel when we bury, but for them, one would say maybe the Lungu family also, they were a problem because they took this matter so personal. Why should we be fighting over the dead? Yes, this was your husband, this was your father. But there comes a time where one can say, yes, we differed, you and I, but at this particular juncture, we have to bury and move on. We are going to discuss other issues later on. So in as much as we would want to blame the government here and there, why leave the family as well in that, unchallenged? I mean,
let me give you this answer. I take the position of the family being as clean as this white sheet of paper. Clean.
Is that so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing can be said against the family in this issue. And I make no apologies for this. Let's face the reality. You said the family took this thing personal.
Yeah.
Now tell me, earlier you said, yes, we know this was the husband. This was a parent. This was, what can be more personal than that? What can be more personal than that? So this to the family is the most personal matter. Now, if you harm my father, you harm my wife, isn't that a personal attack on me? Is it not? It is. So the family was in its full right to protect their loved one to the hilt. Let me tell you, in this particular instance, before Edgar Lungu died, he made it clear, I don't want Hakainde Hichilema to be anywhere near my funeral or to be anywhere near my body.
And that's the lack of the Ubuntu spirit. You can't say that, Doc. You know that.
What do you mean you cannot say?
You've been a leader in this country,
No,
Dr. Kopulande.
what do you mean you cannot say that?
Why should I leave such instructions? Why should I leave such a will, if there's any, that when I die, I don't want Dr. Kopulande to come and attend my burial.
It's within your right.
And yet you are a Zambian. That's number one. And number two, you are an African. Number three, we believe in Ubuntu, the Ubuntu spirit. And this is a man, again, who declared Zambia as a Christian, not as a Christian nation, who declared a day of national prayer, fasting and reconciliation. Why shouldn't the people reconcile when you are dead?
Yeah. You stop me from going to seek medical attention so that I live. Okay? And then you want to come to my funeral and shed crocodile tears. I won't let you. No, I won't let you. Because what you are shedding are crocodile tears. And I'm not going to give you a platform to make political capital out of my death, which you instigated, facilitated by refusing me to access medical treatment. You see what I'm saying? So would you blame Edgar for having taken such a strong position? Yes, it's a very strong position. It does not always be taken. But look at what he had to endure. Look at what he had to endure. You stop the man from going to seek medical attention. This has been established in the court's judgment yesterday, that indeed the government of Zambia stopped Edgar Lungu from going to seek medical attention, even when he said he was going to use his own money, not state money. They still refused him to travel. And you do that, IP, and I die today, IP. You want to come and make a speech at my funeral to say what a good man I was. No, we do not give people platforms to practice their hypocrisy. No, we don't. And that is exactly what Edgar did. I'm not going to give this man a platform to showcase hypocrisy over my dead body. No. I am dead. That's it. Please stay away. Look, I'm a child of a village. I'm a child brought up in the village. I saw those instances happen even in the village, where somebody would say no, or the family would say no. Okay? And that happens even in families, in the villages we come from. Okay? Someone would die, and somebody would send a message to the uncle to say, oh, Vayama, so-and-so has died. Number first, tukesa landa limbi. Kuchiriro first mwikesako.
Correct. Oh, is that so?
Yeah, kuchiriro first mwikesako. We shall settle these matters afterwards. Okay? Yeah. That's what the wise men of the north do, not those from the east. Mr. Pierre. Wow. So this is normal. Okay? This is normal. It happens. Always depended on the relationship between parties. Especially when the victim believes that there was ill will and foul play by the other party. You can live a will with your family. Some people tell you in advance, they will tell you in your face, if I die, don't come to my funeral. Of course, what does that demonstrate? That demonstrates the extent to which someone feels pain by the ill treatment by another person. Those instances are not common. But what I'm saying is they do happen. And they are normal, nothing abnormal. So the family was in their own right, was within their rights to ensure that the implementation of the will of their beloved one. So I fully support the position they took.
Let's talk about the legal fees that have been slapped on the state.
Sorry?
Let's talk about the legal fees that have been slapped on the state.
So you are going to pay for that?
Who?
You. You are going to pay for that. You are going to pay the legal fees. You were party to these proceedings by default. Because you are a citizen, you are a taxpayer. So your money will be used, your money that you pay as a taxpayer will be used to pay for an unnecessary court process in South Africa that was not in your interest whatsoever. Now, Zambians should ask themselves, should the Treasury of the Republic pay for this case? Should they pay for this case. Who should pay? Who pursued this matter to the extent of incurring a huge bill in legal fees? Should we, the taxpayers?
We leave that question to the viewers, Dr. Kopulande. Let's get into other matters. We talk about the campaigns. I know that the country will be going to the polls in the next few days from now. And so far, the timetable is out. The commission has released the campaign timetable at presidential level. Now, at parliamentary, the campaigns have been ongoing. What next for the Tonse Pamozi Alliance team? What do you, first of all, how ready are you? That's number one. Number two, what message are you taking to the Zambians? Do you have proper message which can defeat that message and the achievements of President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND?
Yeah. Have you looked at the composition of the Tonse Pamozi Alliance? You have?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a group of men and women with a proven track record in various areas of governance, be it political, economic, social, cultural, religious. Yes, we have a clear message.
What is that message?
Our message to the Zambian people is the second liberation. We are coming here to deliver a second liberation. A second liberation from poverty, a second liberation from suppression of our freedoms and human rights, a second liberation from intimidation, a second liberation from tribalism, regionalism, nepotism, a second liberation from the destruction of institutions of governance, a second liberation in terms of regaining our international standing in matters of global affairs. This is what we are bringing. And our core target is to ensure that we fight poverty in this country. That's our first target. Let me tell you where we are in terms of poverty levels in this country. In 2021, at the time UPND took over, we were ranked as the 6th poorest country in the world. And 60% of our population lived under what is called extreme poverty, living on less than $2 a day. Was that an achievement? No. It was a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs. In 2025, 4 years after UPND, we regressed to being rated the 5th poorest country in the world, with 72% of the population living in extreme poverty. So we have increased poverty levels by 12% in the 4 years of UPND government administration. Okay? So what that means, an increase of 12% means an extra 3.6 million Zambians have been consigned to the category of the extreme poor. So now we have a total of 15.6 million Zambians living under extreme poverty. This is what UPND government has achieved. So to answer Mr. Ken Dumbo, who was saying, no, tell Zambians why you want to remove UPND government, is it because they have introduced free education? No. Is it because they have introduced CDF? No. By the way, they have not introduced any of that. Free education, CDF, were always there.
They haven't introduced it?
No.
What do you mean there?
What do you mean they haven't introduced? Have they introduced CDF?
No, they've just increased CDF from 1.6 million kwacha to over 40.
Exactly. It's not their idea. CDF is not their idea.
So is that a point of argument?
The fact
because,
that,
I mean,
the fact that you have added more money to it, it's an existing program. It is not your innovation.
And that's progress.
It
right?
is not. Excuse me.
That's
it is not your innovation. Let's talk. We're talking about innovation here. The level of creativity. That's where I'm arguing now. Whether it is good or not that you have increased the money, it's another matter we can come to. I can comment on it later. Yes, it's a good thing that they have increased, but it's not their idea. It's not their idea. It's not their innovation. Okay? Free education. I went to school under free education. You probably didn't, but I did. HH went to school under free education in the KK era. Okay? So free education is not a new idea. It has not come from UPND. In fact, free education existed under PF, only up to grade 7. All that UPND has done is increase free education beyond grade 7 up to grade 12.
Correct.
Exactly. But what we are going to do as Tonse Pamosi is to go beyond that and provide tertiary education loans to students beyond simply universities to cover other higher learning institutions such as colleges, because we believe that that is the level at which skills are developed and built to come and build the country.
Will that only concentrate on the public institutions?
No, we have to cover that even in private. But the key focus will have to be on the public institutions, because generally those that go into private institutions, their parents may be in a position to afford that. But there are certain instances where one doesn't have a choice. So at the point where we are, IP, extreme poverty involves more than 48% of our population who cannot even meet their basic food needs. Okay? In the urban areas, poverty levels stand at 32%, whereas in rural areas, it's 78%. You know what that means. It's 78%. These 50% of the population suffer from what is called multidimensional poverty, where they are deprived in health, in education, in access to electricity, and in access to water. Today, when it comes to food and nutrition, 31% of the Zambian population under the age of 5 is undernourished. And the children, 1 in 3 children in Zambia are stunted because of malnutrition. This is the poverty in which Zambians live. Now, the Mundubile economic team believes that poverty cannot be fought by handouts only. No. Poverty can only be defeated when you create industries that can create jobs, that can promote distribution of wealth, and open up opportunities for economic well-being of the population. This is what we believe, and this is what why our key focus in the emancipation of the Zambian people focuses on economic empowerment, industrialization. These are key to our development agenda.
Interesting. You talked about the industrialization agenda as a tool to poverty eradication. When you talk about you and your team, I mean, I also bring in the aspect of youth unemployment, which is the levels which are quite alarming as well. The young people in this country have continued wallowing in abject poverty, but of course, due to lack of employment, notwithstanding the fact that the UPND has also tried by all means to contribute by providing some quite a number of jobs, in the last 5 years. They're talking about over 50,000 jobs in various sectors. You can talk about in the health system, education, you go to the mining sector, and of course, you can bring it to education. The UPND has, in the last 5 years, tried by all means to provide jobs in the country, more especially to the young people. In the military, young people have been employed. Do you think that your team, the Tonse, Pamozi, and the brand Mundubile, are capable to beat the records of President HH and his team as far as providing or creating jobs is concerned?
Now, I want you to...
And if the answer is yes,
I want you...
How?
I want you to listen very carefully and very attentively. This is where UPND has gotten it wrong. Employing civil servants is not creating jobs.
It's what?
It is raising consumption. Jobs must generate wealth. Okay? Jobs must generate wealth. That is our starting point.
I can imagine how those who have benefited are reacting to you right now.
No. You see, yes, they have got a job. That is true, okay? They have got a job. That is true. But the jobs that the economy requires are jobs in the productive sectors, which will then create the capacity for the government to create more jobs in the public service once the economy is functioning. So it is job creation in the industrial sectors. Okay? That is where our focus must be. And when you talk about youth employment, remember, more than 60% of Zambia's population is below the age of 35. 60%. Okay? Every year, thousands of youth leave colleges, schools, and universities with no hope for employment. Today in Zambia, according to Afrobarometer, youth unemployment stands at 54%. Okay? So, let's do some arithmetic. 60% of Zambia's population, so 60% of Zambia's population, which is 22%, 22 million, that means 13 million, 60%. So 13 million are youth. 54% of those youths are unemployed. So 54% of 13 million, we're talking about somewhere about 7.2, 7.3 million are unemployed. Okay. So when we are trying to deal then with the youth unemployment problem, we got to know the target that we need to employ. Okay? We must create jobs to absorb 7.2 million youths as at today. Okay? Now, It is for this reason that to us, the solution for the young people to find jobs and have opportunities is in the industrialization. So we are focusing on opening opportunities. We are focusing on teaching a man to fish than giving a fish. You see, our youth are not looking for handouts, because handouts are not sustainable. Okay? They're not looking for salt sana. No, our youths are not looking for meal allowances. Yes, they can have meal allowances today. But what about after they have left the school? The meal allowance is only in the university. After university, how are they going to live? Because they will not continue in that institution. So for us, we are going to make specific policy interventions to address the youth unemployment question. One, we are going to formalize small-scale mining through ZCCM investment holdings to allow safe and legal participation by young people instead of exterminating and fumigating them. How are we going to do that? We are going to use ZCCM investment holdings, create a department under ZCCM investment holdings, an SME department, okay, a small-scale mining department, that will then embark on formalization of the small-scale mining industry, register small-scale miners, acquire mining equipment for them. Once they produce using the mining equipment provided by ZCCM-IH, ZCCM-IH then becomes the immediate uptaker of the produce. So ZCCM-IH buys the produce and will be able to sell that produce internationally and save our young people from being exploited by briefcase mineral traders. Secondly, we're going to establish youth farm blocks in all provinces. The youth farm blocks will be provided with equipment to till the land, with irrigation equipment, and with on-farm value addition equipment or technology within the farm blocks. This is important because it will boost food production, it will increase value addition to our local agricultural produce. It will give us an opportunity as a country to export, to produce surplus food for export. Okay? And it will absorb our youth away from unwanted practices such as alcohol abuse. Okay. We intend to invest in the creative industry, such as film production, where the youths are so creative. You know that IP, that's part of your industry here, We have youths that are so creative. We have youths that are content creators, fantastic content creators, not those at State House who say, oh no, we have now delivered 90% of our promises and they are done. That's content creation. You don't do that in State House. Okay? We do that in other places. So, we are going to have an arrangement that we make sure that our youths stay away from alcohol abuse. We'll create a national liquor control board that will have presence in every local government, in every local council, that will ensure that there is adherence to prescribed ways of alcohol consumption. Right. That there is the right age, there is the right place to consume alcohol, and that there is responsible use of some of the medicines, for instance, that get turned into drugs that intoxicate our young people.
Right.
So we will also ensure that the youth have access to sexual and reproductive health, to mental health care, and substance abuse prevention programs. This is important because the health of our young people determines the extent to which they can be serious contributors to the development of our country. So this is on the issue of youth
unemployment.
Yes.
Okay, so I will shorten. I'll curtail you because we have to go. Time is not on our side. But before that, Doc, I've got just one last question which I want you to react to. For now, let's take a short break and then we'll come back.
A man is only as good as his word. Nearly 5 years ago, you gave Bali and the UPND your vote because he promised to fix Zambia. Fake promises, painful realities.
Because we will lower the cost of production, we should be able to deliver millimil at 50 kwacha, 25 kg back. Absolutely. 50 kwacha, 55 kwacha. Very, very possible.
Instead, a bag of mealie meal that is climbed as high as 360 kwacha. Fuel costing more than 30 kwacha per liter. Everything costs more. Families are struggling. Businesses are suffering. And Zambians are worse off than they were 5 years ago. Zambians are tired of 10-point gimmicks. Tired of lies, tired of endless fake promises. On 13 August, vote for Brian Mundubile as president and Makebi Zulu as vice president for honest, focused, and empathetic leadership. Vote Pelambi.
All right, thank you so much. This is, of course, the Friday edition of Zambia Decides, a sponsored program from the Tonse Pamozi Alliance under the brand Mundubile movement. And I have in the studio Dr. Honorable Kopulande Sebastian. He's my guest on the program. Doc, as we go, I just want you to give a reaction to, of course, some of the sentiments that have been, flying around. I know that you, Dr. Kopulande, you talk about Brian Mundubile, and among others, the Makebi Zulu. You are more like one people. You are all coming from the Patriotic Front. If I can quote the words of President Hakainde Hichilema, who said, "Mwena ni mwena." A crocodile will always or forever be a crocodile. Whether you put that, or you put it, or you throw it in the Kariba Dam, in Luangwa, whichever form, a place where there's water, it will remain a crocodile. Mwena ni mwena. Meaning that you are the same people that were there in the PF, and you were defeated by President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND. today you've regrouped, you have reassembled, wanting to get back to power. But the most important question is the remarks which were also issued by one prominent politician in this country, a lawyer by profession, a man with high integrity in Winter Kabimba, who says he's worried with the message that Brian Mundubile is putting across, and some of you, when you tell Zambians that we're going to govern in the same manner or similar to the legacy of Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and Winter says, then there's a problem. I'm afraid that is suicidal. These guys are campaigning themselves because Edgar Lungu's legacy is not something to admire. What is your reaction to the sentiments coming from one of your colleagues in Honorable Winter Kabimba, State Council, former Justice Minister? Who knows you better?
I wrote an extensive response to that statement by Winter Kabimba. Mr. Winter Kabimba's issues are personal against Edgar Lungu. Mr. Winter Kabimba was fired by Michael Sata, and Mr. Winter Kabimba was replaced by Edgar Lungu as Secretary General of the Patriotic Front. So Mr. Winter Kabimba has got issues to deal with which are personal. I don't want to go into details with this. Mr. Winter Kabimba requires to personally introspect deeply before he brings Brian Mundubile into his personal issues. Mr. Winter Kabimba's issues with Edgar Lungu should be a matter between himself and the deceased. Now, for Mr. Winter Kabimba to say that Edgar Lungu's legacy is nothing to write home about is most unfortunate, because Edgar Lungu's legacy is this. Edgar Lungu's legacy is this. Simon Masaka Pwepo International Airport. That's Edgar Lungu's legacy. Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. That's Edgar Lungu's legacy. Kazungula Bridge, which is raking in millions of dollars every day for Zambia, is Edgar Lungu's legacy. Flyover bridges in Lusaka, which has decongested the city, is Edgar Lungu's legacy. Kafiwe Gorge Lower Power Station is Edgar Lungu's legacy. Now, tell me what the man he is backing, what has he created that we can point us at?
You mean Winter is backing?
He's backing HH, right? He's supporting HH.
Yeah.
What has HH done in 5 years that we can point at? Tell me. In the 5 years, not one single policy innovation has UPND brought to the table. Otherwise, tell me one. Not one single policy innovation have they come up with. Zero. Okay? So, now, the statement by Brian Mundubile was taken out of context by the Diggers newspaper, who put a headline, "I am going to rule like Edgar Lungu," says Mundubile. That's not what Mundubile said. Mundubile said that in the context of delivering development, he said, "I am going to deliver development to every region of this country without segregation, just like Edgar Lungu did." Edgar Lungu took development to Southern Province. He took development to Western Province. He took development to Northern Province, to Eastern Province, everywhere.
What kind of development did he take to Southern Province, Western Province? What kind of development would you boast about?
That he took to...
Yes.
Are you... Where is Kazungula Bridge? In which province is it? Tell me. Tell me, which province is Kazungula Bridge? Please, let's not be petty. Reality is reality, okay? The beauty about Edgar Lungu's legacy is that you can point at things he has done, okay? He has built hospitals. He built 650. Edgar Lungu built 650 health posts across the country, including Southern Province. Edgar Lungu built a school from his private money in Wengwa, where HH comes from. Isn't that Southern Province? And for that, he did not use money from the treasury. He took money from his pocket and said, I'm going to build this school in HH's village using my own money. And he did that. The school was built. Right? Is that not in Southern Province? Yes, it is. So let's be honest with each other as a people. If you want to disparage somebody, at least be honest enough to give credit where it is due. In terms of infrastructure development in this country, no one can falter. No one can falter the administration of Edgar Lungu. Yes, I am not saying Edgar Lungu was perfect, okay? But you cannot judge a leader on the basis of small misgivings here and there. Right. You take now the total picture.
Right.
Take the total picture and then pass judgment, not on the basis of one small little thing of, say, cadarism here and there. Yes, there he may not have performed well, okay? And the Zambian people passed the judgment. The Zambian people passed judgment against Edgar Lungu because of cadarism. But let me tell you, in terms of economic well-being of the Zambian people, there was money in the economy, okay? Today, there is no money in the economy. The poverty levels, I gave you the statistics. UPND has increased poverty levels from 60% to 72% within 4 years. Now, if you give those same people another chance, another 5 years, they are going to increase this time by 20%. There will be 100% poverty levels in Zambia. You see, this time we have to be very careful. We have seen it. Yes, Ningwena. It doesn't matter where it is, Ningwena. Just like a liar is a liar. Okay? You were a liar yesterday. We cannot trust you to tell the truth today. You were a liar 5 years ago. Even now you will be a liar. You are telling us you are going to build 10 international airports in every province. We don't need an international airport in Mansa. What about the airport which is already there? Do we need an international airport in Kasama? Who needs an international airport? Now, just look at that. Tell me what sense it makes to build 10 international airports. Who wants to fly from London straight to Mansa, my village? I'm taking Mansa. Who is going to fly direct from London to Mansa? For what purpose? Okay? If there is anyone on that flight who will fly to Mansa directly, it could probably be me and maybe 2 others. But a whole 787 jetliner must land in Mansa to drop 2 or 3 people. Come on. Things don't work like that. Tell the truth. Don't give people political garbage just so that they can vote for you. Zambians, you have learned, you have seen it, you have walked the path. We say in Bemba, okutashe lungu kwendamo. Iri lungu liaba HH twaendamo for the past 5 years. And we know what has happened. Cyber laws is what has happened. Detentions is what has happened. Arrest of political opponents is what
As we go.
is what has happened. Imingalato is what has happened. Farmers don't get paid. That is what has happened. Fertilizer is distributed pambale on a plate. That is what has happened. We have walked through this path. Under the HH, God has found a way of transforming itself into copper and ash and stuff like that. Okay? Under this administration, illicit financial flows have topped to $4 million to $3.5 billion per annum. Under this administration, we have walked through this path already. Don't be cheated again, fellow Zambians. You are poorer under this administration than you have ever been since 1964. Make no mistake once again. To make a mistake is forgivable. But to repeat a mistake is punishable. You are going to consign yourself to a bigger punishment by voting for this administration again. This administration has failed. You have seen it. You have experienced it. You have felt it. Stop UPND from going any further than 13th August. You have suffered load shedding of unproportionate magnitude. Never in the history of Zambia have we suffered this kind of load shedding. And while that load shedding was happening, what was going on? Your electricity generated in this country was being exported. For whose benefit? Ask yourselves, Zambians. The mines have changed hands. The mines have changed hands from your ownership, Zambians, into private hands. To whose benefit? What have you benefited as Zambia from the transfer of shares of Mopani copper mines on the copper belt? How did that transfer happen? Where did the one who won the tender come from after the tender processes have been completed? We want to introduce transparency in the economic management system of this country. That's what Mundubile will do. That is what Makebi Zulu will do. This is what the Tonse Pamoza Alliance, NRP-UP government will do. Fellow Zambians, we have learned our lessons. Let's not take chances anymore. These people must be shown the door. They have failed. They have failed. They have failed. And at the end of the day, we thank God for the final judgment in the Edgar Lungu case. Now, vote wisely so that we can bury our former president in a honestly dignified manner. Honestly dignified, with honors coming from our hearts, and not political camouflaging. That is not what you want. Let us look for the light that Brian Mundubile is bringing. The sign, the symbol where to vote is the lamp. Pelampi unomwaka. May God bless you. May God bless Zambia. Amen.
Honorable Kopulande Sebastian, thank you so much for coming through to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wish you all the best.
God bless.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I've been speaking to a senior member of the Tonse Pamoja Alliance, who is also a senior politician in Zambia, Honorable Dr. Sebastian Kopulande. Thank you so much. May God bless Zambia. May God bless Mother Africa. Good night.